What are you at? It's Paul from Wicked Acorn. I had to completely rebuild the entire live stream platform. I've been at this for 2 days now. The old way, if you remember, was stuttering and lagging and all that kind of stuff. So tonight is a bit of a test because this is a completely new thing here. I had to dump everything and reinstall software, so completely new. So far so good. It looks about the same as we've experienced in the past. Hello, Astrex. You need to wind the handle faster. I don't know what that means. The dessert type? Hmm. Okay, I'll try. And good evening, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this is going to be hopefully not too long tonight. We have visitors from Canada, so I have to go join them. Good evening, Rick. And so I want to get to this video. Now, you may have seen this video before. It is about rat baiting, if you haven't figured from the thumbnail. And rat baiting was a really popular sport in Manchester in the Victorian times. Uh, a lot of places had bull baiting and uh, all bear baiting, all kinds of big arenas where they would have these things. There was a place in London where they had bear baiting, so they would pit bears against other animals. Um, oh, desert rats. Okay, I got you. Right. I always get desert and dessert mixed up. It's back to Gilligan's Island again, isn't it? A desert island? Uh, I don't know why. So somewhere along the way, you must have mentioned Gilligan's Island, Asterix. Uh, um, yeah, so they used to have all kinds of animal fights that they would bet on and just watch for pleasure and fun. And I came across this article a while ago. A Manchester Terrier, that's what this video is about. Uh, yeah, lovely little dog. I had a dog when I got him when I was 7, and he lived a long time. I had left home and had been out of the house I grew up in, many years when the dog died. I think he was like nearly 20 years old when he died. And he looked like a Manchester Terrier, but he was really fat. He was this small little dog, but really big, really fat. Um, Not what you'd call fat, uh, because it was solid. It wasn't like flabby fat. It was a solid little. It looked just like a Manchester Terrier, but he was had that coloration and that look, and sort of looks like a Doberman as well, same kind of coloration. And I remember seeing a Doberman in a movie when I was a kid and asking my mother, is Muggs going to grow up to look like that when he gets big? Muggs did never grow up to look like a Doberman. Muggs was about this big both ways. He was a small, big dog. Anyway, this is going to be a test of our live stream tonight, and it's about the Manchester Terrier and rat baiting in Manchester. So hopefully this is all going to work out tonight. It is a new setup. and hopefully it will work. Now I forgot to connect the chat here. Let's see if I can do it on the fly. How do I do that? Can I do it? Will it appear? Come on. A lot of things you can't do on the fly. There we go. We got the chat back. Uh, okay, let's get the video playing and we'll see what happens. If you live long enough, you're gonna have to catch a mouse. For the past little while, I've been noticing signs of a mouse. I have to intervene. Uh, Mouse. Oh man. I'll go grab it when I put the video back on. We now have a rat, definitely a rat, chewed a hole under the door in the kitchen. And I'm not going to go get it, but I had an extension cord. You guys don't call it an extension cord, extension lead? Is that what you call it? Anyway, an electricity cable that goes out to the shed, an extension cord, we call it. That's another one. I got to make a note of that one because I've been making note of all these lexical divergences. Someday I'm going to do a video about them. Like, bonnet for hood is the one I always think of first. Although in Newfoundland we call it a bonnet. We don't call it the hood of the car. Sometimes we say hood of the car, but usually bonnet, like you guys do. The mirrors on the side of the car we call side mirrors. We don't call them wing mirrors. And fenders. Fenders are a different thing on a car to you guys, isn't it? I'm not up on that. Rick is there. Rick can tell us. What do you call the fenders of a car in this country? Is it fenders? Judy. Yeah, there's a few car parts that you name differently here. Anyway, we have a rat. So that showed up night before last, and I have to go out in the shed and find the rat trap. Because we actually had them before. I guess they sense the heat leaking out of the house and come in where the heat is leaking out. Hey Siri, add mousetrap to the grocery list. So, until that's ticked off the list, I do what I do. I go to bed without putting the dishes away. But I'd better close the dishwasher before I go to bed. I don't want mice crawling all over the clean dishes. 8 hours later. So when I come down in the morning, I find this little guy sitting on top of my clean cups. So I scooped him up in a cup and I put him in this casserole dish. I guess he was in the dish. Good evening, Darren. I saw your suggestions and that's great. I'll definitely have a look at that. Yeah, rats are terrible, man. I worked on a movie one time and that was when we lived downtown, an old 120-year-old house. And it was really drafty. And I worked on this movie and pink fiberglass insulation we used for something on the movie. And when the movie was over, I asked if I could have it. They said yes. So I brought it home. Bumpers. So I think, so to me, a bumper is the thing that you would bump into another car. The first part that would hit, like on old cars, it's that big chrome bit. That's the bumper. But a fender is, the wheel enclosing the front wheel, the side of the car wheel enclosure. That's the fender to North Americans. The bumper is the bumper on the front of the car, and rear bumper as well. Are we on the same page there? So fenders are the sides of the car that cover the wheels, that go around the wheels. Anyway, we had this insulation, and we only had a crawl space, about waist height under the house, and I took all the insulation and just put it down there. My intention was to put it in the floor in the crawl space, and several months later I went down and grabbed a piece of insulation, and there was like 3 rats. They had tunneled all through it. They made like a little home in it, but I guess living in pink fiberglass insulation is not good for your health. And that's why they test that stuff on rats and stuff, I guess. Wings. Wings is fender, yeah. And bumper is bumper. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things. Yeah, so you have a wing mirror. We don't call it a wing mirror. We call it a side mirror, I guess. Yeah, side mirror, I think. Yeah, yeah, they used to be on the fenders, the wings, but I mean, wings make more sense when you think about the doors like wings, so it makes more sense now. Like those gull wings, the DeLorean and that. I'm just going to switch cameras here just to. Oh, I got to turn that off. I always forget to turn that off. Yeah, the DeLorean, the gull wing doors. So I'm just playing around here a bit to see how this is all working out. Before I closed it, enjoying the scraps of food in the bottom. Gerald here isn't the first mouse plaguing foreigners' homes. Well, that doesn't sound too good, does it? Here in Manchester, in case you didn't know it, the Romans came here around 79 AD. These mice bones were found in sediment at the bottom of amphora found on an archaeological dig in the city center. It seems the Romans were quite fond of these little creatures. They put them on mosaic floors and made bronze figurines of mice. Oh, that's unfortunate. Where the hell did that noise come from? In the bowl. All right, let's see if I can get... This Roman oil lamp found in Manchester has a little mouse on top. He's taken a sip of the olive oil from inside. That's about it for mice in the history of Manchester. But this fascinating story popped up about the story of rat baiting and the Manchester Terrier. People have been pitting animals against each other for a long time. Bear baiting, bull baiting, cockfighting, dog fighting, just to name a few, not to mention feeding Christians to the lions. The 1835 Cruelty to Animals Act. So was that audio crapping out for you guys there, or is it just me here listening that the audio was all messed up there for a moment? An end to most of these sports, but one animal was exempt: the rat. Now I suppose we can understand some of the reasoning behind this. They spread disease and they can do an incredible amount of property damage.
This was before modern pesticides, and the way we controlled rodent populations was with other animals. I guess a cat in the barn can take care of most of your problems, but have you ever tried to train a cat? You can't very well patrol the streets of Manchester with your cat on a lead to catch rats, now can you? The animal for this job is a dog.
Yeah, it sounds good to me now too, but did it get messed up there for a moment?
The very best dogs are terriers. They're small, so they can go anywhere that a rat can. They're fast, and they are relentless. We can't get upset with the dogs, though. That's what they do. It's in their nature. Rat baiting didn't start out as a blood sport, though. It was more of a necessity. We needed an animal that could control the rat population. And of course, people started breeding dogs for just that purpose. Soon enough, someone started to brag about how many rats their little terrier had caught. And the next thing, there's a friendly wager. That's probably how it started. It became a popular sport in cities like Manchester, where there wasn't the room for a big arena for a bull or a bear. Later, with the abolition of all the other animal blood sports, it turned into the highly organized sport of rat baiting. I won't go into all the gory details, but the events were staged in places like the cellar of a pub, where they had a little arena built, a miniature coliseum, if you will, with an enclosure a few feet high and tiered seating for the spectators that would go all the way up to the ceiling. You can just imagine the atmosphere. A bunch of poorly washed men in a poorly lit, cramped cellar filled with the stench of rats, tobacco smoke, and stale beer. The dogs would be weighed and usually pitted against one rat per pound of dog, then timed to see which dog could dispatch its allotment of rats in the shortest time. Just like football today, the owners could walk away with some hefty prize money. One of the little dogs bred for this purpose was the Manchester Terrier. John Hume of Crumpsall crossed a dark brown winning terrier with a whippet to create a proficient rat catching and rabbit hunting dog, excelling in both sports. They often had their ears cropped to prevent damage from rats. It became illegal in the 1890s. By the end of
Well, now, the video froze up there for a moment. So there are some issues to address here. But overall, it's better than the stuttering and buffering and everything that was happened before. So this is the longest I've streamed with this new setup. I've done a couple of test streams, so which weren't public to you guys. So hopefully this is going to work out. It seems a little better.
War II, only 11 Manchester Terriers were registered. It's still a vulnerable native breed. The American president, Teddy Roosevelt, owned one while he was in the White House, and Agatha Christie owned two. Bingo was the inspiration for the dog in her last book, and her first Manchester Terrier was called Treacle. Treacle. Before I moved here, I didn't even know what this stuff was. I bought it for a video to do about bonfire night, and its best before date is 2 years ago. I think it's time to make a video about treacle.
Yes, I accidentally made it public for a moment on my tests last night. Um, just going to go back here because there's a couple of things in this video that I wanted to talk about, but it went all crackly and forgot to tell you about this. right here. Yeah. Is that a pellet gun, Astrax? Is that what you're talking about, or a BB gun? That's what we call them. I we have. I remember the first time that squirrels as we call them, showed up, and I was still in school, so it'd be around in the late 70s, maybe 1980, maybe as late as that. And that was the first time I ever saw a squirrel in Newfoundland. They're not natives to Newfoundland. And the red squirrel, they're not native. That's the only one we have. Don't have the gray ones. And of course, now they're everywhere. And another funny story about squirrels. My wife, they had what they called a country home, a cabin out around the bay, and the squirrels got in the house. And do you remember the big 64 pack of Crayola crayons? The squirrels ate all the crayons except the red ones. So either there's something in the red ones that they didn't like the taste of. They ate the crayons. Either they didn't like the taste of the red ones or they were saving the red ones for last. That's a true story. Uh, that's the same place that the ghost story happened, I was telling you, in that cabin out in Brigus. Um, let me switch over here. So, Rick, if you're still there, this is something that might interest you. There's no audio. I got the audio turned off here. Um, so this is mice bones that they found in one of those jugs, those amphora jugs. That jug was found in the city center as well, like there around Castlefield somewhere where the Roman fort was. I can't remember exactly where it was, but in that area. And the mice bones were found in the bottom there, in the sediment in the bottom. That's not Manchester. I I can't remember if that is or not. This is though. This lamp is from Manchester. It's an oil lamp with a mouse carved in the top of it. And all of these things, uh, Norman Redhead, the guy who was they shot rainbows for a week after. They probably did. Uh, Norman Redhead was he is the guy that knows all the Roman stuff. Roman uh, period is his baby. That's what he's really into. And he was the guy who did the Ashtabula Mersey Mill as well. So he's the guy that he's got a couple of books on. Yeah, they. I mean, a squirrel is just a rat with a bushy tail, right? I mean, it's the same animal. Um, yeah. Anyway, I gave my father. I wonder where that is. I wonder if it's still around. Uh, this lovely little BB gun, a handgun BB gun, and it was quite good. It was quite accurate and quite powerful for the small little thing that it was. Um, Guns are not like in America and Canada, but it's very easy to get. But and every house I know in Newfoundland has a gun. Every house has a rifle. There were three in our house growing up, and I had a pellet gun when I was a kid. But anyway, I gave Dad a pellet BB gun, little BB gun, because he was complaining about the squirrels in the bird feeders eating all the bird feed, and he would go on relentlessly about I'm getting a gun, I'm getting a gun, I'm going to get them squirrels. So I gave him a gun, but he never had the heart to do it. So big talk, but it never did happen. He wouldn't use it to dispatch the squirrels. So that's an interesting new little. Well, it's a video I put out before, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to repackage them and re-release them. Good evening, Hoggle. So that I mean, there's nothing wrong with the video. It's not. They always talk about when you look back at your old videos. This one's not that old, but it's a couple of years ago. Um, when you look back at them, you cringe. This one's not cringe-worthy, but there are things I'd like to change about it, which there always are. But there's nothing wrong with the video. It's a pretty good video, so I'm trying to repackage them, and because I mean, nobody saw this video. This is where it crapped out. I'm just going to put the audio back on and see what happens.
Catching and rabbit hunting dog, excelling in both sports. They often had their ears cropped to prevent damage from rats. It became illegal in the 1890s. By the end of World War II, only 11 Manchester Terriers were registered. It's still a vulnerable native breed. The American president, Teddy Roosevelt, owned one.
Yeah, the breed is still in danger. So if you go into the RSPCA looking for a dog, you can get yourself a Manchester Terrier. They were not all clean kills. What are you talking about there? Uh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we've got one in our house now, Hoggle. Um, or at least there's a hole chewed under the door that wasn't there 2 days ago. So I'm assuming it's a rat. It certainly looks like a rat. Could be a squirrel, but most likely a rat. I haven't seen any sign or any droppings or anything like that, but it's something I'm going to have to deal with because it's terrible having rats in your house. We had them a few years ago before this mouse adventure. Haven't had any mice in a while. That was a couple of years ago, I think that video was. Anyway, that's our test. Everything seems to be working pretty good there. What are you guys thinking? That seemed to play a little better, except for that audio glitch there, and the video froze for a moment. So I will check into that and see if I can get that working any better. Anyway, I have to go entertain the Canadians. There are Canadians visiting us here for a couple days over to visit more Canadians. Yeah, I have a rat trap. Thank you, Asterix. I just have to find it. I bought it the last time we had a rat in the house, and hopefully it'll work again. I'm pretty good at baiting them and placing them. I had them a couple times in Canada. Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's just same as a another another rat trap story. I'll tell you. Uh, when I was a little kid, uh, my uncle lived in a place called Port au Choix, and Port au Choix is on the west coast of Newfoundland, uh, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the other coast, St. John's, where I lived. And I grew up in Bishop's Falls, which is hundreds of miles from St. John's. It's Newfoundland is quite big. The province is 1.5 times of the British Isles. Um, anyway, uh, Port au Choix is a fishing community, and there's all kinds of fishing boats, or there were anyway. It's probably not as much as there used to be back then. And they had a bounty on rats. So all the young fellas would catch rats, and they get paid so much for each rat tail that they brought to the fish plant. And so one of the young kids that I was hanging out when I was visiting there, we were there, for a week or so, I guess, maybe a couple of weeks. Yeah, they can swim. So sinking the barge only gets a few. Um, yeah, so he said, the young fella I was hanging out with, he was over. It was so funny, and it was funny to me at the time. He was in the shop admiring the rat traps. It was so funny. He was going on about how good that type was. That type was better than that type, and it was a big conversation about the rat traps. And I guess it was a lot of money. You get I can't remember what it was. Maybe 10 cents a rat tail or something like that. And you catch the rats and cut the tail off and bring it to the fish plant, and they give you a bounty, right? 10 cents or whatever it was. I can't remember what the price was. But you can catch a lot of rats around a fish plant, and that's the purpose of it. There's a bounty to get rid of them, and but it was so funny. I remember it being so funny that the rat catcher would stand there and dispatch them as they ran out of the barge. Probably had a terrier, a Manchester Terrier, with him as well. They probably had them patrolling the banks to catch them as they come out of the canal. Yes, it's problematic, but it must have been far worse back in those days. Anyway, I got to get out and make supper for the visitors before they get back. They've gone out pub crawling, I guess. So thanks for dropping in. Same time next week, Thursday, 6:30, God willing, if everything works out fine, and I think it will. I think I'll get this. Um, Boy, what a struggle it was. I just had to abandon everything from the last setup. It just they used to at the fish plant because I did. Rick is asking if it was true that you got paid for rats. We did, yeah, for sure. And because I bought, we were. It's so weird when you think about it, right? Like when you go on holiday on vacation, your mother gives you a few dollars to buy something, because you're on holiday. And Mom, can I have $1 to buy a rat trap or whatever? Well, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, yeah. And we made money. I made the I swallowed my gum the wrong way. I didn't intend to swallow my gum. Um, uh, yeah, so I made the price of the rat trap back and more besides. That was a great little holiday. The other thing we did was cutting cod tongues. So a delicacy in Newfoundland is cod tongues. And I'll tell you a joke about cod tongues in a second. But cod tongues are just what they sound like. They're cod tongues, and you cook them uh, like battered fish, and you fry them. So cod tongues is a delicacy in Newfoundland. Uh, so we would go down when all the fishing boats would come in. We would go down and cut cod tongues, and we'd sell those. So all the kids had a little cottage industry, catching rats and cutting cod tongues and cod cheeks. These are things, little delicacies in Newfoundland. Um, It was definitely a thing in Port au Choix. That was the only place I'd ever heard of it, was a bounty on rats was in Port au Choix. I'm sure it was in many other places, but that's the only place I can vouch. Um, so cod tongues, cow's cheek, and I haven't heard of that, but why not? Uh, my my wife had to go pick up a pig's heart for my son for biology class tomorrow, and anyway, she got a lamb's heart. Uh, I guess it could be either or. Anyway, it's in the fridge out there. But yeah, I mean, why not? Uh, my buddy is a buddy of mine is Native American. He's a Mi'kmaq, Micmac Indian, and he was talking about the the native people, how they would use every part of the animal. You know, they would use every part. You know, the antlers, the everything. They would use every part of the animal. And I said, "Did you ever hear of wieners and bologna?" It's yeah, wieners and bologna. We call them andors because it's chicken andor, beef andor, pork andor. So they're andors. Um, and the other one was a guy goes into a restaurant and he says, you know, what's special? What give me some Newfoundland food? And he says, how about some cod tongues? And Buddy said, I ain't eating nothing that come out of nothing's arse. And the waiter said, well, how about an egg? But